There are some of these young men that they use to launder money now. Of course, some of you are aware of our activities in the area of investigating, virtual currency trading, cryptocurrency, and all of that. There are also potential platforms to fund terrorism, and a lot of people don't understand that. Some of our discoveries recently, when we went into investigating some of these platforms, was mind-boggling. We thought Binance was a major one. Yes, a major one. We are prosecuting them, but much more other platforms we have discovered. Of course, you are aware that EFCC got order to freeze over 1,000 accounts. It will shock you what those accounts are used for. Some of them are used to fund some of the terrorism activities. And they use some of these our young men. Some of them don't even know that the people that gave them money to trade are also, people who fund terrorism. And so you can imagine the dimension the whole problem is taking. And so it is important for us to adopt the use of technology. Because I was sharing comparing notes with an assistant director in the FBI, a friend of mine. And he said, look, my brother, from our system in US, FBI, he said, look, we can track every dollar printed anywhere in the world. I said, wow. And so that is what we are also going into, to see how we can adopt technology to be able to track every naira. So some of these terrorists are funded, by the money made within the system. People go into banditry. People pay ransom, and they go and give them the money. And the same money will shock you, come back, find its way into the system. Same money. I mean, if somebody takes money, naira, to pay for ransom, they don't take it to America to spend. They don't take the naira to Ghana to spend. They don't accept naira there. The money finds its way back into the system. So when we have the technology to be able to track some of these things, then the work will become easier for us to do. So we are both kinetic and not kinetic. The support of civil society and the general populace by providing information and all of that. Some of these people carrying out these activities, we know them. They sleep with us, they wake up with us. But because of the pecuniary interest, some of the small things we benefit at the expense of the larger society will not allow us to speak. It is time for all of us to speak out. So I want to encourage you, when you see something, you say something. Yes, that this event offers will be both seminar and profitable in confronting the scourge of terrorism financing that oxygenates the activities of violent organizations such as Boko Haram, ISWAP, and those of Yan Bin Diga and Yan Tada that are on the fringes of Nigeria. I need not overstate that the fact that we are all living witnesses to the devastation and untold hardship that citizens in this region of Nigeria have been subjected to through the scourge of insurgency, banditry, kidnappings for more than a decade now. Thousands of families have been displaced, uprooted from their ancestral homes, and turned into refugees. In their own country, vast swatches of arable land have been turned into killing fields, left uncultivated, thereby compounding Nigeria's food security challenges. The nation's lean resources are stressed out on huge yearly outlay in military spending. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenge before us is to seek solutions to end this decade-long nightmare and restore order to the troubled region. And I believe this is a thing we can do, given the commitment and given the support of all Nigerians. The quest for solution is not entirely new. Several conferences and workshops have been convoked. Yet, the solution remains dire. And for us in EFCC, like most Nigerians, the concern is how this crisis continues to defy solution and fester. How is it that the terrorist groups in the region are able to sustain their operations, acquire more sophisticated weaponry, and engage in daring combat with the Nigerian military? Ladies and gentlemen, it would seem that an economy of criminality that developed around terrorism and violent extremism in the region, where actors who are profiting from the chaos do not cherish the return of civil order. How, for instance, do we explain the activities of supposed not-for-profit organizations who profess to want to provide succor to the distressed but end up exploiting their misery for financial gains? How do we explain the action of unscrupulous actors who hide under the cover of humanitarian gestures and activities to fund terrorist groups? And these are issues that we must continue to interrogate. Just like my brother said earlier, the more you supply water to the pond, the more the fish will fester. But the moment you drain the water, that will render them powerless. Now, the EFCC has had cause to prosecute so-called promoters of not-for-profit organizations, like you must have been following, who exploited the desperate conditions in the Northeast to profiteer. I'm sure many of you are aware of a lady that is called Mama Boko Haram, who was prosecuted, and at the peak of the insurgency positioned herself as a credible intermediary for the insurgents, but is now in jail for exploiting the distressed citizens of the Northeast for personal gain. Part of the focus of EFCC in the quest to tackle terrorism and violent extremism in that region is to follow the fund trail of critical actors in the region and cutting off the supply line of illicit funds to non-criminal groups. This responsibility has seen the Commission pay more attention to the movement of funds by not-for-profit organizations in the region, who are now required to make statutory declaration to the law enforcement agencies. Indeed, the enactment of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 as well have strengthened the anti-money laundering and terrorism financing framework with the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SCUMO, which is domiciled in EFCC, giving powers to monitor, to supervise, to regulate, and assess the activities of designated non-financial businesses and professions in Nigeria, and also not-for-profit organizations which are vulnerable to terrorist financing and money laundering in the country. As members of the civil society, you have vital roles to play in assisting the anti-corruption agencies to tackle illicit financial flows into the region. And this calls for peer vigilance and willingness to blow the whistle against renegade civil society actors, making mockery of the lofty ideas which most of you in this hall stand for. Now, what we are saying is some of these activities are also promoted by Nigerians, most times. Now, when our military and law enforcement agencies go to work, Nigerians are supposed to support them. Fighting terrorism is collective responsibility. Collective responsibility. What is the number of the military we have in Nigeria compared to the entire citizenry? What is the staff strength of the anti-corruption agencies and the law enforcement and paramilitary compared to the general, population of Nigeria? If 4 out of every 5 Nigerians can stand for what we are here for today, in 6 months, we will nip this thing in the bud. We must not leave this responsibility to the military and to the law enforcement alone.